Welcome to She's the Boss, the podcast where female wellness entrepreneurs talk ambition, money, and ownership out loud. I'm your host, Lee McSwan, a certified holistic nutritionist turned wellness business coach. This is where conversations are unfiltered, the rules of entrepreneurship get rewritten, and nothing is off limits. Money, motherhood, friendships, legacy, wealth, power, and what it really takes to build a life and business on your terms. Let's get after it. This episode is sponsored by Ignite, my immersive mastermind for female wellness entrepreneurs who are ready to stop playing small and start leading their 6, 7, and 8-figure businesses with intention. Ignite is where we shift how you think, decide, and build so that your business supports your life, not the other way around. It's linked in the show notes if you want to explore more. Okay, let's jump back into the episode. Today's guest is Angie. She's a wife, mom of 2, a full-time employee, and the founder of Level Up Dance Fitness. She's building her dream in the in-between moments of real life, between work, motherhood, marriage, and exhaustion, and doing it with some honesty, humor, and heart. Angie isn't your polished, picture-perfect fitness girl. She defines herself as awkward, quirky, real, and right there in the mess with her community. Her work is about joy, confidence, and moving your body because you want to, not because you should. Angie, welcome to She's the Boss. How are you today?
Thank you. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. And this is Angie's very first podcast recording, so it feels like a super big honor to me to have you as a guest on my show, but also to be the first show that you're on. We always start the show with a bit of an icebreaker. And so the question I have for you today, Angie, is being in the fitness world, what is one thing that grinds your gears about fitness advice that you see, whether it's a trend or just the overall theme? What is like your fitness pet peeve?
When people think that there is a one-size-fits-all solution, because there is never a silver bullet. Like the secret is that there is no secret. It's staying consistent. It's doing the right things. It's doing all of those things over time is when you're going to see the biggest results. And when people think that, oh, well, is weightlifting better than cardio or is this better than that? Honestly, like the best workout is the one that you're going to stay consistent with. So find something that you enjoy, prioritize movement that you enjoy and stay consistent with it, because that is going to be the most effective workout, is the one that you're going to stick to. And so anybody that, just tries to push their agenda or say, this one thing trumps this or trumps that, just move. Just find something that you're going to stick with. Right. Exactly. Now, I will caveat that with, if you want very specific results, then yes, you have to have a specific plan. But if you're just looking to, move your body and exercise and get a little bit healthier, find something that you're going to be able to stick with.
Okay. I felt like that was a pep talk for me specifically because I hate working out. I love doing things. I love activities, like take me rock wall climbing, take me on a hike, put me on a pickleball court, put me on the back of a horse. I am the happiest girl in the world, but I can't do that stuff every day. So I do weights. I'm a big weight lifter and I do it to finish it.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, do what you got to do. Whatever you have to mentally tell yourself,
Yeah. Consistency is definitely a big challenge for most people. What kind of advice do you give to people that kind of jump in and out of the fitness game, and especially women who have longevity goals but have a problem sticking to that consistency, whether it's like 1 day a week, 5 days a week? What advice would you give them?
I would say treat it like an appointment. Carve out that time. And it is an appointment with yourself that you will not break. Whether it doesn't have to be an hour, whether it's you only have 10 minutes a day or 10 minutes, 4 days a week, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, carve out that time and stick to it and make that commitment. I am also even try to plan it out where it's like, okay, for 7 days, just for 7 days, I'm going to commit to 20 minutes a day. And then see how it is after 7 days, and then do another 7 days, and then another 7 days. So making sure, you're just carving out a realistic time that you're able to carve out into your schedule, I think is important. It doesn't have to
I
be
love that.
an hour a day, 2 hours a day. Who has time for that?
Nobody. No normal person.
So make it, be realistic. Be realistic with what you're able to do and do it. That would be my biggest piece of advice.
That's great. I'm a big fan of time blocking my day. And because my workout typically happens so early in the day, I often don't put it on my to-do list. So I think this make the appointment with yourself, that's a really good way to kind of build that commitment piece and also keep the consistency there. I'm definitely somebody that I put my phone on a timer for like 15 minutes. Like that's how quick I want to get in and out of my at-home gym. As it's just, it's like, get it in, get it done, and then the rest of my day feels amazing. But I definitely am not somebody that has an hour to spend doing that, and I just don't want to.
Yeah,
So,
me either.
Yeah, it's just not practical, right?
Right.
Okay, so going back to the conversation of fun, I feel like dance fitness just sounds fun. Can you walk us through what exactly dance fitness is?
Yes. So dance fitness, the way that Level Up Dance Fitness is structured, we are the perfect, I personally think that it is the perfect blend of booty shaking and weight training. So when I created Level Up, and it was after I had kids, I was looking to get back into fitness and back into working out. And I grew up in the dance space, but then I also love weight training. And I couldn't find anything that really cohesively blended the two together. And so I was like, well, what do you do when you can't find something? You just create it yourself. And so what we do in Level Up is we work out to basically all the music that we used to party to back in the 90s and early 2000s. You feel like you're walking into a millennial dance club. So there's no shortage of Ludacris and Missy.
Oh my God, I'm dying. I'm dying.
Like all the things. It's just so much fun. And then we pepper in those weight training blocks to obviously sculpt and tone to let that heart rate come down a little bit. But we just have a blast. You will see similar choreography groups peppered in throughout the entire class. And that's so that you can familiarize yourself with the dance moves and the choreography. But, the way that I start every single class is that the most important thing that I can say is that we're not here to be perfect. It doesn't matter if you do the moves like me or the person in front of you, behind you. Your superpower in that room is you're the only person that can move exactly the way that you do. So to own it, embrace it, lean into it. And the choreography is just a suggestion. So if the music is taking you somewhere else, like go there. That is a solo, and you can have as many solos in class as you want to.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like a blast. I literally only listen to 90s and early 2000s. Missy gets me so pumped when I'm working out. It's the best. There's no higher vibe than that playlist. It's so good. Okay, so take us back to before you started Level Up. What were you doing? Walk us through that time in your life.
So I come from the corporate space, and like I said, I still have a full-time job while I am really growing Level Up to a point where it is sustainable enough. Because again, I have a family, I've got a husband and kids, so I have to be, wise about my choices financially. But I come from the corporate space and business development and sales. I worked for a pretty large corporation for about 3 years prior to really leaning into Level Up, and led some teams. I was a senior digital marketing manager, so I've got a background in business development and marketing and sales, but quickly realized that's not what I want to do forever. I want to grow something of my own. I want my kids to watch me grow something of my own so that they know that they can grow up and do the same thing if they want to. They don't have to be trapped inside of this box of a corporate world or, anything like that, that if they have a dream, if they have a vision, if you work hard enough, you can achieve it.
Such a beautiful way to lead our kids into entrepreneurship is just by example, just building the thing, taking the risk and investing in yourself and in the business that you want to see. Did you grow up with entrepreneurs around you?
No, I grew up with a single mom, and she may as well have been an entrepreneur because she worked, 3, 4 jobs at a time just to support me and my sister. And so that really instilled some work ethic, obviously, in me. But, my mom was always a dreamer too. She's actually started her own business down in Charleston teaching tennis camps. So she's really created her own thing down there too. So, I mean, she really helped teach me that it's okay to take risks. It's okay to take chances. All you can do is your best. That's take control over what you have control over and give God the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only so much we can control, and we just have to kind of take that blind leap of faith into the depths of entrepreneurship. Do you believe that everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur?
I don't. And that might be a controversial question or controversial answer, but I don't. I think you can. I don't think that there is anything like special, quote unquote, that like I'm trying to figure out the best way to say it, but I don't think that there's anything that you have to have that's special. But what you do have to have is perseverance, work ethic, and the ability to pivot. There's a guy that I follow on Instagram, and he always pops up in my reels, and his name's Ryan Leak. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or anything like that, but there was a video from one of his presentations that popped up in my reels. And it said that one of the most underrated superpowers that we have as human beings is a willingness to fail and the willingness to look stupid and then pivot and figure it out. So I think those are the qualities that you really have to make sure that you have when you choose to be an entrepreneur or to do something on your own. You've got to be humble, and you've got to take pride out of it, because I mean, things are going to happen. It's not going to be perfect 100% of the time.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think failure becomes your friend, and you have to build a loving relationship with it, because ultimately, if you're in the entrepreneurial game for the long run, failure is inevitable.
Yeah, it is.
You're not going to hit a home run every single time. And you build up some resilience to it too, I think. I remember so many times where I felt like I was ready to throw in the towel, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm just not cut out for it. And then I look back at the times that I worked for other people, and that feeling of having to choose that hard was an immediate no for me. I was like, I'll choose the humbling, the death of the ego, the failure 100 times over in order to build the thing that I want to see in the world. And so with failure being such a massive part of this journey, where in your journey have you experienced failure or felt like throwing in the towel and just giving up?
All the time. I feel like it's such a, it happens all the time. And whether you have been in business for a month or 10 years, I feel like you always have those moments. And so when I first started, I started out with pop-up classes. So I didn't have a consistent schedule. I didn't have, weekly classes. I wanted to kind of test out the market and see if there was even any interest in people wanting to come to these classes. And so the first pop-up class I had was great. There was 40 or 50 people there. I was so excited. I was like, wow, people are really digging this. This is how it's going to be all the time. Next pop-up class, 2 people showed up. And it was like, man. And it was like a gut punch. And then after that, had another 20 or 30 people show up, and then 10 people. And so it fluctuates. And then you have some classes where no one shows up. And it's like, am I cut out for this? Do people even want to do these classes? And, you have that kind of, boohoo moment, but then it's like, okay, well, what could I have done better to promote my classes? What could I have done differently? Is this the right location? Do I need to look at another location? So if you start to look at those quote unquote failures from a different lens, and you use it as a learning experience and as a learning curve, and how can I improve? How can I continue to move the goalpost? That's where it matters. Use it as data. Use it as data. Don't use it as oh man, I can't do this. I'm just going to give up, because that's it's easy to have a positive mindset and to be happy when things are going your way. But then it's when the hard times happen is when you really have to figure out how to buck up and do it. I mean, that's just the nature of it.
Amen, sister. I am with you 100%. I think that it's really just a choice, right? The hard is there. You choose your hard. When it comes to evaluating that data and looking at the things that we did or didn't do to book out the class, to get the awareness, how do you draw on your marketing background in order to make those changes? And what would your advice be as a marketer to people that are like, I know I need to do a better job, but I just don't know how?
So it is so interesting because like, this is like me putting into practice, like what I tell other people all the time. And so it was eye-opening for sure. And when you start out as a smaller business, as a smaller entrepreneur, my biggest advice is to network within your community and exhaust all free options and get really good at those free options before you invest in any type of like paid marketing or anything like that. Something that has really helped me in growing my classes locally have been like the Facebook groups, social media, things like that. I try to be involved with, you'll see groups like the area that I teach in is called Chapin. And so like what's happening in Chapin moms around me, things like that, and I promote my classes and promote my services and, all of those types of things in those local groups, in addition to, networking in like chamber communities and like, associations and things like that. So for me personally, in my particular industry, that's really important. But just across the board, I would just make sure that you have a really solid digital presence, because that is like huge. That's the first thing that people are going to do. They're going to Google you, or they're going to go on social media and, look and try to find you and find your services. So those would be like the two biggest step ones that I would definitely recommend for anybody, regardless of what industry that you're in.
So how would you recommend somebody go into these Facebook groups and without that cringe feeling? I know so many people struggle with, I don't want to be salesy and I don't want to pitch myself, or I don't want to be that girl. It's sending the hey girl messages. What advice can you give to people that are like, okay, I need to start getting into these groups. I need to build my online network so that it benefits me online or in person, whatever it is. What kind and loving way can they put out a post that says, here's what I have to offer, and avoid that ick and cringe feeling?
So one, you're going to feel cringy. If you're not, there's no way around it. If you are not, I am very much somebody, which I know it doesn't seem like it with the industry that I'm in, but I am very much someone that doesn't like to be in the spotlight. I am very much a behind the scenes type of person. That's where my comfort zone is. But I knew, especially just starting out, like you kind of have to be the face of your business for a while. So you have to be able to be willing to put yourself out there. And it's scary because you have a personal attachment to your business. Like you've grown this business from the ground up. Like you have put your blood, sweat, and tears into this business. You're passionate about it. And like, it's scary putting that in front of other people. So one, like, regardless of how you do it, it might still feel cringy. But the way around that, in my opinion, is don't say, this is what I have for you. This is what I do. Concentrate on the problem that you're solving for the people that use your services and make it relatable. That will make it seem not as cringy. If you can identify the problem that you're solving for people and you position it that way, instead of saying like, hey, buy this for me. I think, from a communication standpoint, like that's going to come off a lot less salesy than the other. So
great advice. At what point do you think it's worth investing in advertising for your business?
I think once you've exhausted all of your organic resources and you are able to have the budget to invest in that marketing, and then I would evaluate what type of marketing makes the most sense for you. It's also important to understand what a customer is worth for you, essentially, and then kind of back into what your marketing budget is, because you do have to spend money to make money sometimes, obviously. And so making sure that you're not overspending in your market or in your marketing dollars to where you're not profitable anymore, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And what do you think works better? Do you think people should be looking into Google Ads or to Meta? Where would more money spent make sense?
It depends on the industry, to be
Okay.
completely honest with you. Not all marketing is created equal. I would utilize some market research first. That would be like my first suggestion is understand who your customer is, where are they, and then be there. If they're on social media, be on social media. If you notice that there's a lot of Google searches for whatever industry it is that you're in, then maybe paid Google ads or local service ads, would be something that would be beneficial for you too. I always recommend having a good SEO presence though, because Google is Google and people are always going to be there. And so not necessarily paying for like PPC campaigns or like LSA campaigns, but make sure that you have a good organic presence on a Google search page for sure is something that I would prioritize.
Such good advice. And how do we ensure that we're populating in the Google search on that first page?
It takes time. So SEO is going to be your marathon. Paid search is obviously going to be your sprint. It can take anywhere between 6 months to a year to really see your efforts start paying off from an organic standpoint. So it is just like exercise. You cannot expect to go to the gym one day and like lose 10 pounds. It's the consistency over time where you see your efforts start to pay off. Marketing is the same exact way. And so making sure that you are, keeping your website updated. I would, look into partnering with an SEO company because there's also some back-end things on websites like metadata, title tags, things like that are a little bit more technical. There are a lot of website platforms right now that kind of bake a lot of that stuff into their platform to make it super easy for entrepreneurs. But, it never hurts to partner with somebody that's an expert at that particular service, making sure that you have, your service pages, your, blogs, content, all of that kind of stuff is updated pretty frequently so that it tells Google that, you guys are live, you're active, are actively working on your content on your website. So those would be some of the things that I would recommend for that.
Oh, so good. So good. Okay, let's kick it back to level up and talk to me about, you have a team now, right? You have employees or contract workers. Talk to me about taking the leap from being solo to hiring and how that looked and felt for you.
So I knew that was always the goal. So from a scalability standpoint, like I always knew that the virtual classes and the instructor course training and having instructors on the team were going to be the way that makes this scalable and sustainable for me to be able to do this full time. But it's scary and it's exciting at the same time. And I absolutely love my instructors. They are phenomenal. And it is so much fun watching the videos that they share too, because it's kind of like an alternate reality where I'm seeing them teach my choreography in classes and like you're seeing it all just like, happen in front of you. And it's really exciting. But from a business perspective, it's a little scary too, because I want to make sure that I'm providing them with everything that they need to be successful. I want to make sure that they have all the tools and the resources and, everything that they need and empower them to be able to lead these classes in their community. So that's one of my biggest priorities is just making sure that they have everything that they need. And I'm constantly asking them that too. Hey, what's something like, is there anything else that I can do for you? How else can I help you? Is there anything in the instructor corner of the website that we're missing? Is there a tool that would be more helpful for you when you're teaching classes? Talk to me. What else? What else? And so that's, something that's super important to me is just to make sure that they're successful in what they do, because overall for the brand, that's what's going to help lift it up.
Yes. And that's really kind of that passing of the torch or handing over the reins to really putting your trust into other people to hold your baby, essentially.
Yeah.
Did you notice that you had to really switch like your mindset around being the solopreneur to then stepping into a CEO role? Because I feel like so many entrepreneurs, will really step into that role as CEO and as team lead once they have employees?
It's challenging. And to your point too, it's like somebody else is holding your baby. And it's like, sometimes you want to be like, oh no, like do it this way. Or no, let's do it this way. But then you have to step back. And I think being a mom really helps too, because I've had to do the same thing with my kids, especially as they get older, where, if they're working on a project. My son was literally just working on a beta club project a couple of months ago. And I'm like, but what if we did this instead or da-da-da? And I'm like, shut up, Angie, shut up. Let him do it. Let him do it his way. And it's going to be great. It's going to be fine. And so I have found myself having moments where I want to like, but then I'm like, no, they're killing it. They're doing such a great job. Just because it's not the exact way that I would do something doesn't mean it's the right way. And they're absolutely fabulous and doing a killer job.
So you've had to release a lot of control, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really challenging.
It is. And ours is structured just a little bit different. So when you sign up to become an instructor, it's basically you're buying the license to teach in your area. So and obviously there's brand standards and brand guidelines that you agree to follow and things like that. We have our community calls and we stay in touch with one another and all of that kind of stuff. But it's technically not that they're employed by Level Up Dance Fitness, but they still have to go through the training and the brand standards and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different than being technically like employed by a company.
Okay, from a business standpoint, this is genius. So let me get this straight. Let me wrap my brain around the structure of your business. You have Level Up as the dance fitness. It's a studio, but it's also online as well. And then you have your instructors pay into certification with you. Is that right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so amazing.
They'll pay for the certification. So you have to pay to essentially get your certification to be able to teach Level Up Dance Fitness classes. And then after that, there is almost like a subscription-based model that you pay monthly to have access to the instructor corner of the website, where you have access to all of the dance choreography, all of our dance breakdowns, continuing education courses, all of that kind of stuff, because we're constantly updating that. So every week I come out with new choreography, new dance hit routines, new dance sculpt routines to be able to help provide them for more content for their classes.
So you're not just making money off of your clients, you're also making money off of the instructors. This is so smart. How did you figure out how to do this? And how did you figure out the licensing piece?
So I wanted to make this affordable for everybody. I wanted to make it, and I don't take any like commissions or anything like that. So they pay their training course fee. That's a one-time payment. And then they pay to continue to have access to the website. And then what they make teaching their classes and the way that they structure it, that is all theirs. I don't take a dime from any of that. So I feel like there's other dance fitness courses out there that are a little bit pricier, a little bit more difficult, I guess you could say, to be a part of. And I wanted to make this accessible for everybody. Anybody that wanted to do it, anybody that wanted to add this to their wheelhouse and their toolbox of fitness programs. There are so many independent fitness instructors out there. There's so many people that are teaching their own dance fitness classes that aren't necessarily associated with a program, but you get stuck on choreography and you don't like having somebody have those choreography already like wrapped up in a bow, ready to go was a lifesaver for some people. So I wanted to make sure that I created something that everyone had the ability and like the financial ability to achieve.
You're reminding me a lot of Shealy Johnson with Powder Blue.
I love Shealy Johnson.
She's the freaking best.
I used to do a lot of Beachbody workouts and her Pyo courses are phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah, it's such a brilliant way of doing things. And it actually frees up a lot of responsibility on your end because now you're not managing employees. And I think this is really something that entrepreneurs get to explore and get to play with. Is it's not just about building a fitness studio and having a bunch of people working under you within your organization, but it's about giving them the tools, the resources. Essentially, you're giving them the playbook and you're saying, okay, off you go now, make this your own. I love this so much because this is also more so an unconventional way of doing entrepreneurship that's kind of outside of the box. And I really love that.
Sure.
I think it's smart financially. I think it's smart time-wise. It just, it makes total sense that you would set up your business this way. Was there a lot of legal work that had to go into setting up licensing and whatnot?
There was not, I wouldn't say a lot, but because it is this type of structure, it is kind of like, and a lot of the paperwork is basically saying, yeah, a lot of the rest of the stuff is up to you as far as physical licenses, if they want to get insurance or, things like that for their particular business, wherever it is that they live and are teaching classes. But yeah, I mean, my business attorney is absolutely fantastic and he drafted up all of our documentation, all of that kind of stuff. But I mean, it actually, to your point, is kind of the easier way to do it from a legal standpoint because you're kind of like relinquishing your, I don't want to say association with it, your responsibility for it. You know what I mean? Because after this, you're certified to teach this, but then, it's on you to make sure that you have your waivers in place, like your licensing in place and all of that kind of stuff. So it's been great.
That's so lovely to hear. Okay, let's talk about the fact that it's kind of the same industry as I came from, where I'm certified as a holistic nutritionist. Now, I don't practice in nutrition anymore. I just do the business coaching side of things. But like fitness, nutritionists are a dime a dozen, right? We are not special. We're not unique. You can find one within 500 meters from you at all times, basically. How do you talk to somebody that is like, you know what, I would love to get into this industry, but I feel like it's so oversaturated. Who's going to want to buy from me? Or who's going to choose me when there's 5 million people who are more qualified, have more experience? What would you say to that woman that's thinking that?
Let's have a conversation. And that's how everything starts. I always start with a kickoff call because it's a two-way street. It's not just me interviewing somebody to see if they're a good fit for the brand or anything like that. They have to make sure that Level Up is a good fit for them too. So I tell them about my experience and how I started and just how that has gone, give some case studies for some of the other instructors and the success that they're having, and just let them know you have a community around you as well. You're not in it alone, even though you might be solo in your geography, wherever it is, teaching classes, but you have this community around you for support. And that's what we're here for. That's one of the biggest things, even though we're not like employees, but we all share each other's posts. We share each other's classes. We help support one another. And a lot of times that's why it's not even necessarily about making money teaching the classes. It's just having a sisterhood and having this group of people that just genuinely want to see each other grow and succeed and win. And I think that's what makes the most difference. People will walk out of class and not remember a single piece of choreography that they did inside of that entire class, but they'll remember how they feel. And that is where the difference is made. And that's where the impact is made.
100%. We all kind of have our own unique selling feature, right? And nobody's going to teach or talk about fitness the same way that you are. Nobody's going to coach a nutrition client the same way that I am. And so I actually come up with this a lot in my line of work, where people are like, there's so many people doing this thing. And I'm curious about your view on this, but my take is that that's actually a really good sign that there's market demand for the thing you're doing. Would you agree?
Exactly. I 100% agree on that. Yeah. And I feel like too, for dance fitness, because you're right, like there's a Zumba class, you throw a rock and you'll hit a Zumba studio. There's dance fitness absolutely everywhere. And what I think is really interesting, and because I don't have this perspective because I grew up in the dance space, so I absolutely love dance, but dance fitness is intimidating for some people. Like the thought of walking into a class and you have to shake your booty and like move, like that can be scary. And so even I had a girl one time come into class, and I always try to ask people when they walk in, like, well, how'd you hear about us? Where did you see us? Just to measure marketing and see what's working, what's not. And she was like, oh, I saw you on one of the Facebook groups. I've been following your page for 6 months and I'm finally walking in the door. So sometimes, and that goes back to marketing too, keep doing what you're doing, because what you do today is you won't see the results the next day. So just stay consistent and keep doing it, because I guarantee you people are paying attention. You just have to keep at it and just keep going. But I say that because it can be intimidating for some people, and it might just take a little bit of mustering up some courage to walk in the door. And something that I always make sure that I tell people about our classes is that we're not perfect. And I think I said this before, but that's a point that I try to hammer home, is that this is a judgment-free zone. Nobody cares if you mess up or just, I mess up. I choreograph all of these dances and I screw up all the time. I taught class last night. There was an entire song that I screwed up the whole time. Just like, okay, all right, we'll get the next one. It's okay. Just be free. Don't judge anybody else around you. But most importantly, don't judge yourself. Just be free. Move your body however it is that your body needs to move that day. And that's it. That's all you got to do. So I think that's something that kind of helps our format stand out a little bit differently, is because like we're just there to have fun. Move, sweat, have fun. Those are the 3 goals. It feels like you're just at a party with your girlfriends. I mean, that's the best way to explain it.
Yes. And especially going into 2026, like the theme of 2026 is going to be community. The things that bring people together, that make them have a good time, that make them feel connected, like that sisterhood feeling, like you said, that's really the thing that we need to harness in 2026. Everybody,
100%.
for whatever reason, we are seeking togetherness more than ever.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think that that's really like one of the edges, is that if you want to separate yourself from the rest of the people, the million people doing the same thing that you're doing, create community, because every community is going to look different. It's going to feel different. There's new energy coming in and out constantly, but it's that aliveness that keeps you energized as the entrepreneur leading the pack. And also just keeps the energy new and fresh and exciting for the people that are in it. So when we talk about kind of separating ourselves from everybody else that's doing the same thing, how do you deal with imposter syndrome that is inevitably going to sneak up on you and feed you negative thoughts? What do you do to manage that feeling of imposter syndrome for yourself?
It's hard. Like I said before, no matter how long you've been in business, whether you've been in business for a month or 10 years, that imposter syndrome always hits. And I think something that helps me with that. So like I mentioned, I come from the corporate space, and I was a part of a very large organization for a very long time. And you look at people that are of certain statures or who have accomplished certain things, and you think, I could never do that. Like, oh, that person must have something special about them, or that person is different. That person has X, Y, or Z, and I could never do that. That's something that I could never possibly achieve in my life. And when I was in the corporate space, and I don't mean this to sound ugly or mean or anything like that, but you see some of the yahoos that are leading large organizations and these large
Honest
teams
to God.
And you're like, really? Okay. And honestly, that was my aha moment. I was like, okay, so you're telling me that this person has this rank in this organization, and I've literally had multiple conversations with them, and I'm like, really? So that was really an aha moment for me, where it's like, you know what? Screw it. I can do it. I'm going to figure out a way to do it. And I'm going to fail, and that's going to be fine. And I'm going to figure out a way to continue to make it work and grow and thrive. And so sometimes I have to just kind of think back to those moments where it's like, you know what? It doesn't take a completely like special person to do certain things. You just have to have the grit to do it.
Yeah, I was muted while you were talking about the yahoos, and I was laughing because it's so true. It's so true. Half the people that are running these massive corporations, they're borderline psychotic. And a lot of them are alcoholics, or they're addicted to something. They literally are in that position of power, most likely due to connections, right? It's often like you've worked your way up, you've been buddies within the boys club, that kind of thing. And entrepreneurship, it's a completely different ball game, being having power over a corporation versus building your own thing from the ground up is a completely different ballgame. I have actually joked that maybe entrepreneurs are the psychotic ones as well too, because we're creating something from nothing and just like
A little bit of
all our cards on the table and betting on ourselves. But it's so true. We really have to come back down to reality and be like, there's nothing overtly special about anybody that has started their own business or is running a massive corporation other than their tenacity, the perseverance piece of it. And you strike me as somebody that's a no excuses kind of woman. You are working full time. You're building this business. You're a mom. You've got a lot of shit going on in your life. So how do you deal with excuses, and how do you deal with people that you see using excuses to avoid building the dream?
Not well. I mean, you're absolutely right. I feel like there's always a way. There's always a way to figure something out. Sometimes you just have to sit down and make a plan. But if someone's going to make an excuse for something, honestly, that's on them. I mean, if that makes them feel better about something, I know this sounds super harsh, but I'm also in an era of my life where, you know what? That's your choice. That is your choice. That is your decision. And it is what it is. But no, you're right.
Have you entered the fuck it 40s?
Yes. No, well, I'm not quite 40. I've got 2 more years, but I'm in my fuck at 38.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
You're going to do great in your 40s.
I have a fuck it bucket. And so if there's something, I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to put it in my fuck it bucket.
Amazing. We all need a fuck it bucket.
No, yeah. I'm at a point in my life right now where it is, to your point, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I have a full-time job, and I'm trying to level up to a point where it can be fully sustainable for me and my family. And I just don't have time for things that waste my time or don't benefit me in a way that they need to. And that might sound selfish, but I think that's and it's an empowering thing to realize though too, that like, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no to some things. And I've always been a people pleaser, I guess you could say, where I always felt bad saying no to things, but then my cup would be completely empty by the end of the day because I've just said yes to so many things. And it could be something just as simple as maybe you have a completely full day and your lunch hour is the only time that you have to yourself. And a friend asks you, honey, do you want to go to lunch? And it's like, no, I really need some me time, actually. Maybe next week, let's look at the calendar. Let's reschedule. It's okay to say no to some things that you want to put some boundaries around.
Yeah, I think it's also necessary as well, too, especially when you're getting something off the ground. I remember when I was building out my first digital course, and I had a best friend living across the street. And so her being there was just tempting by nature because we were both home with kids. And then another friend would come over. So it really felt like I had to be very intentional about saying, okay, my phone is off. I'm unreachable, exiting the group chat for these 6 hours so I could put my head down and get to work. Because if I didn't, I never would have got that first course off the ground. I never would have become a 6-figure nutritionist. Doing that was absolutely necessary for my success. And yeah, I did feel like I was missing out for sure. I could see them out my window playing with their kids on the driveway and stuff like that. And I just couldn't participate. But those are the hard choices that we have to make in order to lift the dream and make it a reality. So I think that
it's also filling your cup too, where
it is.
I had a friend, a good friend of mine who is also a nutritionist, and her husband's a hip hop instructor. And he sent me a message the other day and was like, hey, there's a hip hop class that so-and-so is teaching. It's going to be really great. It's an adult class. It's at 9:30 at night on Thursday. I was like, thank you so much for the invite. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to be in my jammy jams, tucked up in bed after already doing the nighttime routine with the kids. I can't. And like, rewind 10 years ago from now, I probably would have said yes, even though I would have been tired. I would have missed out on bedtime routines with the kids and, all of that kind of stuff, which for me, that's a huge priority. I never want to miss any time with my kids, whether it's even just as simple as saying our bedtime prayers or dinner, things like that. But as they get older, you learn that you just miss out on so much. And I'm just not willing to do that anymore.
Absolutely. It goes by in a flash. How old are your kids?
My oldest is 11 and then my youngest is 5.
Yeah, I have an almost 13-year-old and an almost 15-year-old. And there's definitely times in my life where I wish I had have said no before I became so confident in my no's. And my no's are very like liberating and freeing. And they actually kind of show me where my priorities are now. But I felt like I was trying to do it all. I was trying to have the social life. I was trying to be a good mom, be a good wife, build the business, and just felt so stretched thin. And when you start, for me, it was in my mid to late 30s where I started feeling it in my body where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And then you enter your fuck it 40s and I'm going to be 41 in March. And I'm like, I'm just handing out no's like it's Halloween night with candy. And I'm like, it's easy. So freaking good.
Yes. And something else, and I'm sure you can relate to this too, being a mom and having your own business and just being busy AF like all the time. And something that's very challenging is feeling like you are always failing at something.
Yeah,
like
always.
I feel like there is something, if I've given 100% to parenting that day, it means that I'm failing at level up or my quote unquote real job right now. Or if I've given 100% to that, I've missed something with the kids or my husband. And like, it's a challenge. And that's something that I don't know, that only women I feel can relate to.
Yeah, I actually get pissed when people say just find balance in your life. And granted, I use that language as well too, but I don't think I actually intentionally mean have 33% here and 33% here and 33. I think that there are seasons of your life where you are 100% mom. And then there's other seasons where you're 100% entrepreneur and businesswoman. And I don't think that there's ever a time when we feel stabilized in everything. I mean, we can get close to it, but I know for myself, there's times where my house looks like a disaster and that causes me a great deal of anxiety. I like things clean and organized, and walking into my kids' rooms often creates heart palpitations. I'm like, oh my God. But I have learned to strengthen that muscle of being okay with discomfort and acknowledging that there are push seasons in my business and then there are foot off the gas seasons where it's coasting. And so I hate when I hear all these influencers online that they're so well resourced, and hats off to them because they worked hard to be able to afford all those resources, but it's not the same type of lifestyle that your brand new entrepreneur is living through. And so we have to be very mindful about who's influencing us to make us feel like we're not enough as a businesswoman, we're not enough as a mom or as a wife or as a friend or as a sister, daughter, whatever it is, and just kind of stay in our own lane. And I think this goes back to imposter syndrome as well too, especially with the online world, right? Like it's so volatile out there. And so for me, one of the things I do is I unfollow people like crazy. And I also recognize when I'm like, that doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel authentic that you're baking the bread, you're homeschooling your 4 kids, your hair looks freaking amazing, your house is spotless, and your husband just is buying you flowers every night. I'm just like, bullshit radar.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm the same way. And it can be such smoke and mirrors too. It's so easy to make things look easy online. And for me, and that's something that's really important in my business too, where I want to show the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I want to show the full classes. Yeah, great, cool, it's packed. But then it's also important to show, hey, during the holiday season, sometimes attendance sucks. Here's 2 people that are in my class, And so I think showing that realistic expectation and just real life and like showing mistakes. One of my favorite types of videos that I like to post on my pages are ones me screwing up the choreography and showing how you move forward and you laugh it off and you figure it out and you just keep moving. Done. That's it. Who cares? It doesn't matter.
We need more of you online. We definitely do. Oh my gosh, Angie, it has been such a pleasure chatting with you. Where can people find you and how can they dance with you?
Yeah, so you can find my website is levelupdancefitness.com. That's where we have all of our on-demand classes. I also keep that updated with our in-person classes as well. You can also follow us on socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And yeah, just be sure to like us, follow us, and join us on demand.
My last question as we sign off is, What does it mean to be a boss to you?
Oh, what does it mean to be a boss? So can I change the question a little bit? So I think being a boss is really being a leader. And I think being a leader really means being a servant. So when you are leading your teams or when you're leading a company or organization, you always have to take a step back and ask yourself, what can I do for my employees? Or what can I do for my team? How can I help them grow? It's kind of that giver's gain mentality where if you can help everybody on your team be successful and rise and grow and thrive, ultimately, like that's good for you too, right? So I think that if more people had that mindset where it's how can I impact the people that are around me that are helping grow my business, that's the most important thing. That is what is going to make a difference.
Ooh, so good. So good. Thank you so much for being here. It was an absolute pleasure chatting with you. And until next time, keep being a boss.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Thank you so much for spending a part of your day with me. I want to remind you to take a moment and notice what this conversation has stirred up inside of you. You get to decide what you want to do with that. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, continue to build boldly and own it fully.